To awaken is not to rise above others, but to become more sensitive to what already is. When one begins to see what others do not, it is tempting to mistake clarity for superiority. The mind whispers, I have seen the truth, while others are still blind. Yet that whisper is the very illusion awakening seeks to dissolve. True awareness humbles you. It does not make you a master. It makes you a servant of understanding. The one who truly sees no longer seeks to prove that they see. They simply live gently, moved by the quiet knowing that all beings are still part of the same unfolding mystery. Sensitivity is the essence of awakening. To be awake is to feel the world not as an object to be conquered, but as an extension of yourself, to hear the subtle music of existence playing through every heart, every breath, every silence. This sensitivity does not come with comfort. When the veil lifts, you begin to feel the suffering of others as your own. You sense the collective confusion that drives the world, and it can overwhelm you. Many wish to awaken, but few are ready to carry the tenderness it brings. For to see deeply is also to feel deeply, and feeling deeply demands courage. The awakened person learns to walk gently in this awareness. They do not shout their understanding, for they know truth cannot be forced upon others. Instead, they let their presence speak. Their sensitivity makes them kind, patient, and compassionate, because they recognize that everyone is on the same journey, only at different stages. Just as a flower does not rush another to bloom, the awakened soul does not hurry others toward enlightenment. Each being unfolds in its own rhythm, and that rhythm is sacred. Awakening is not an achievement. It is a surrender. It is the realization that you were never apart from the world you sought to understand. You begin to see that the observer and the observed are one, that the seer and the seen are reflections of the same consciousness. When this understanding dawns, judgment melts away. You no longer measure others by how much they know or how clearly they see. You begin to see the same light shining behind every pair of eyes, even if it is covered by layers of fear or confusion. And so sensitivity becomes your teacher. You listen more. You pause before reacting. You see beauty in imperfection and wisdom in simplicity. You understand that every encounter, pleasant or painful, is a message from the divine, reminding you of your shared humanity. To awaken is to be more human, not less. It is to laugh more easily, to cry more freely, to love without conditions. The danger lies in thinking awakening separates you from others. The truth is the opposite. It dissolves the boundaries that ever made separation seem real. The awakened one, it is not the one who stands above, but the one who kneels in wonder before the mystery of all things. When one begins to see what others cannot, there comes a quiet burden that often goes unspoken. The world continues its rhythm, busy, loud, distracted, while you begin to notice the deeper patterns beneath the noise. You see the endless cycles of striving, pretending, and forgetting that most call life. This deeper perception can make the familiar world feel distant, almost unreal. People laugh, argue, chase goals, and you wonder if they realize the stage they stand upon. It is not arrogance that separates you, it is awareness. Yet awareness, without balance, can turn into loneliness. To perceive the hidden threads of existence is to feel the invisible weight that binds all things. You notice the sorrow in joy, the impermanence in beauty, the silence behind every word. The awakened eye sees both light and shadow more vividly, What once seemed simple now appears layered, complex, intertwined. Many who begin to awaken are startled by how heavy truth can feel. It's not the kind of truth that comforts. It's the kind that strips away illusions. You begin to see not only the beauty of the world, but its confusion, its contradictions, its fragile grasp on meaning. This awareness can make you feel like a stranger among your own people. The conversations that once entertained you now sound shallow. The pursuits that once motivated you now feel hollow. The noise of the world begins to tire you, and solitude becomes your only refuge. But solitude is not punishment. It is refinement. In stillness, perception ripens. You learn that seeing deeply requires patience, not reaction. The burden of perception transforms into a quiet peace when you stop resisting what you see and begin to accept it as part of the whole. There is a stage in every awakening when you wish you could unsee, but there is no going back, only growing deeper. The purpose of this seeing is not to withdraw from life, but to engage it more wisely. Once you accept that understanding can be isolating, you begin to use it as a bridge instead of a wall. You listen more than you speak, you observe without judging, and in doing so, you reconnect with others from a place of compassion rather than criticism. This burden of perception becomes sacred when it births empathy. When you realize that the blindness of others is not their fault, but their stage of becoming, you stop trying to wake them with force. You learn to guide softly, with your silence, your patience, and your example. The deeper you see, the more gently you live. For you now know the fragile nature of human thought, the fleetingness of every emotion, and the shared dream we all call life. The gift of seeing is not meant to separate you from humanity, but to deepen your love for it. The burden becomes light when you realize that even those who cannot see are still part of the same infinite dance, and that seeing them with kindness is the truest vision of all. There is a delicate balance between vision and humility, a tension that every awakened soul must learn to hold. When you begin to see more clearly than those around you, the first test is not of your insight, but of your character. Vision without humility becomes arrogance, and arrogance blinds even the clearest eyes. The gift of deeper seeing is not meant to elevate the self above others. It is meant to dissolve the illusion of separateness altogether. True vision does not shout. I know, it whispers, I understand. It brings gentleness, not pride. Compassion, not superiority. Every revelation carries the temptation of ownership. When understanding dawns, the ego subtly claims it. I have discovered this truth, yet truth cannot be possessed. It can only be lived. The moment you claim to hold it, it slips through your fingers like water. Humility keeps the vessel open. Pride seals it shut. A wise heart knows that even the most profound vision is only a glimpse of the infinite. To remain humble is to stay teachable, to know that no matter how much you see, there will always be more beyond your sight. Balance is found in remembering that seeing deeply does not make you a ruler but a servant of understanding. The awakened person becomes a bridge between the known and the unknown, guiding others not through authority but through presence. When humility anchors vision, it transforms insight into wisdom. You begin to speak less and listen more, not because you doubt your clarity, but because you trust that truth reveals itself in silence as much as in speech. Humility is not weakness. It is strength refined by awareness. It is the quiet recognition that life itself is the teacher, and you are forever its student. The wise do not boast of what they have seen. They move through the world lightly, knowing that even those who seem lost are walking their own path of awakening. Judgment fades and compassion grows. Vision without humility isolates. Humility without vision stagnates. Together they form the complete circle of wisdom. Vision provides clarity while humility offers grounding. One without the other creates imbalance. The visionary without humility becomes a preacher of ego, while the humble without vision becomes a follower without direction. True enlightenment holds both, the ability to see beyond illusion and the grace to bow before the mystery that remains. To live with both is to walk as light does, illuminating without boasting of its brightness. When you see clearly yet remain humble, your presence itself becomes healing. People feel peace in your company because your vision no longer threatens. It embraces. The balance between vision and humility transforms the danger of awakening into the beauty of wisdom. For in the end, the greatest vision is not of how much you can see, but of how deeply you can love those who still cannot. Those who see differently are not chosen to dominate or to stand above. They are called to serve as quiet lights in a world still learning to see. The role of the seer is not to destroy others' illusions, but to gently awaken understanding through compassion. The awakened one recognizes that truth cannot be forced. It must be invited, like dawn breaking softly over a sleeping field. To see what others do not is to hold a flame, and that flame must be carried with care. If it is waved too wildly, it burns. If it is hidden, it fades. The true seer learns to protect the light without arrogance and to share it without pride. Every age has its seers, those who question, who sense, who look beyond appearances. Yet they have always faced resistance. The world, comfortable in its habits, rarely welcomes disruption. The one who speaks truth often feels misunderstood, even rejected. This, too, is part of the calling. For the purpose of the seer is not acceptance, but illumination. You are not here to make others agree with you. You are here to remind them of what they already know but have forgotten. The seer becomes a mirror in which others glimpse their own hidden wisdom. To hold such a role demands great patience. You cannot awaken someone by shouting. You awaken them by living. Your life becomes your teaching. When your actions reflect clarity, others are drawn to your peace. They sense something different, not noise, but stillness, not certainty, but presence. And in that presence, they begin to remember. The role of the seer is not to change people directly, but to embody a truth so deeply that it invites change naturally. The real teaching happens not through instruction, but through vibration, through how you walk, speak, and listen. But this path is not without struggle. The seer must learn to bear misunderstanding without bitterness, to face rejection without losing faith in love. To see clearly means to witness both beauty and suffering in equal measure. The temptation is to withdraw from the world, to escape into solitude. Yet the true seer stays among people, not out of duty, but out of compassion. You begin to see that every soul, no matter how lost, carries the same divine spark. The illusions they cling to are not sins, but stepping stones, necessary for their growth. So, the seer learns the art of silence. Sometimes saying less teaches more. Sometimes merely being present is enough. You do not have to prove your light. You only have to keep it burning. In the end, the role of the seer is not to lead a revolution of noise, but to ignite a quiet remembrance within the hearts of others. You remind the world of its own divinity, not through power, but through love. And that is the sacred duty of those who see what others don't, to shine, humbly and faithfully, until the darkness no longer needs explanation, only light. True understanding is born not from noise, but from stillness. When the mind begins to see beyond illusion, it naturally grows quieter. The endless chatter of opinions, judgments, and comparisons fades into the background, and what remains is a vast silence, a living awareness that simply is. This silence is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is the ground from which clarity, compassion, and wisdom arise. Those who truly understand do not need to shout their truths, because truth itself has a power that does not depend on volume. It moves like wind, unseen yet deeply felt. In a world that constantly glorifies noise and action, the art of stillness is easily misunderstood. People often equate silence with weakness or passivity, but real stillness is active. It listens, observes, and feels deeply. It is the mind that has learned to rest in awareness instead of reaction. The person who has reached this depth does not hurry to judge or to fix others. They understand that every situation, every soul, every struggle is part of a greater unfolding. Their calm presence itself becomes a teaching. In their company, others begin to feel safe, understood, because silence speaks directly to the heart. Stillness is not something you practice once. It becomes your way of being. It is cultivated in the pauses between breaths, in the moments when you resist the urge to control or explain. In stillness, the seer discovers that truth cannot be forced. It emerges naturally when the mind stops interfering. The more you rest in awareness, the more clearly life reveals itself. You begin to see that everything, even chaos, has an order. Even pain holds a message. Stillness transforms confusion into understanding because it allows space for truth to arise. The greatest leaders, mystics, and teachers throughout history all carried this inner quiet. Their power was not in their words alone, but in the peace behind them. When they spoke, it was not to impress, but to awaken. Their wisdom flowed from a well of stillness that the world could feel even before they spoke. This stillness is the essence of spiritual maturity. It is not learned through books or theories, but through surrender. You stop needing to prove, to defend, to convince. You simply are, and that being becomes your offering. To live from inner stillness is to see the sacredness in all things. The trees, the wind, the silence of a friend. All become mirrors of the same truth. You no longer chase understanding, you rest in it. You stop searching for meaning in the future, because you see that meaning has always been here, hidden in the present moment. True understanding is not about collecting knowledge. It is about returning to the simplicity of awareness. When the mind rests, the heart opens. When the heart opens, life itself becomes prayer. And in that silent prayer, you find peace that no noise can disturb, and wisdom that no words can contain. True understanding doesn't grow out of argument or noise. It happens in stillness. The kind that isn't the absence of sound, but the quieting of reaction. When you stop grasping, judging, and naming every experience, awareness expands. The noise of opinions and fears begins to dissolve, and what remains is a deeper kind of listening. You start to see that life doesn't need to be explained every moment. It needs to be observed. In that still observation, truth begins to surface naturally, like a reflection on calm water. Silence like this isn't dull or empty. It's alive. Or empty, it's alive. It holds the movement of breath, the rhythm of thought, the heartbeat of all things. From this space, perception sharpens. You no longer see life as a series of problems to fix, but as an unfolding pattern. Oh, you can hear what others mean even when they can't find the words, because your mind is no longer crowded with your own noise. This is the kind of stillness that doesn't withdraw from the world, but sees through it. A mind anchored in stillness becomes gentle. It stops trying to prove, control, or defend. You understand that the divine is not waiting in some distant heaven. It breathes through you, speaks through your actions, and listens through your silence. You are both the prayer and the answer. When awareness becomes your constant companion, life itself becomes holy ground. You no longer need to seek the divine, for you realize it was never apart from you. Every heartbeat whispers it. Every moment reveals it. In this way, awareness and compassion unite. You live not to escape the world, but to illuminate it. Your very being becomes a temple where love dwells quietly, without condition. And in that living prayer, the distinction between you and the divine fades, leaving only peace, presence, and the eternal stillness of understanding.